Good evening, I'm Alex, and this is America Headlines. Tonight, we dive into the most pressing issues shaping global trade, diplomacy, and the digital economy. The spotlight is firmly on the ongoing trade talks between the United States and China, two economic powerhouses whose every move has ripple effects across the world. Alongside this, the fate of TikTok in America hangs in the balance, and Washington's pressure on China regarding Russian oil purchases intensifies. So, what exactly is unfolding, and what does it mean for you, for America, and for the global economy? Let's break it all down. We begin tonight with breaking developments out of Madrid, Spain. Inside the historic Santa Cruz Palace, American and Chinese officials are deep into their second day of marathon trade negotiations. On one side of the table sits U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and his delegation. Across from him, China's Vice Premier Lifeng and top economic advisors. These aren't just routine discussions. They represent an attempt to reset relations after months of bitter disputes over tariffs, technology, and energy supplies. Both sides know the stakes are high. These talks could redefine how the world's two largest economies interact, not just in 2025, but for years to come. The sessions are long, lasting nearly 6 hours yesterday, and they will continue through Wednesday. The goal? To find common ground before tensions spiral out of control. At the heart of the tension lies President Donald Trump's latest push on tariffs. Over the weekend, Trump took to Truth Social with a bold declaration. He wants up to 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, a move that would send shockwaves through global supply chains. Why now? The president argues that China continues to purchase large amounts of Russian oil, effectively funding Moscow's war in Ukraine. In Trump's view, steep tariffs could force Beijing to cut those ties and weaken Russia's hand. But here's the twist. Tariffs are a double-edged sword. On one side, they punish China and signal America's tough stance. On the other, they risk raising costs for American businesses and consumers. Already, economists are warning that an all-out tariff war could drive up prices on everything from electronics to clothing. Of course, Beijing isn't backing down quietly. Over the weekend, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi publicly pushed back against U.S. threats. His message was clear. Sanctions and tariffs to resolve the war in Ukraine. They'll only complicate an already fragile global situation. China, after all, plays a crucial role in global manufacturing. From smartphones and laptops to solar panels and medical supplies, much of what the world depends on comes from Chinese factories. And while America is an essential market for those goods, China has been steadily diversifying its trade ties, particularly with countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. Still, the United States remains irreplaceable for China when it comes to consumer demand. That's why both sides are approaching these talks with a mix of caution and determination. Neither wants to walk away empty-handed. Adding even more urgency to these negotiations is the looming deadline for TikTok. As you know, TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, and Washington has long raised concerns that the app could expose American user data to Beijing. Wednesday marks the deadline for ByteDance to either sell TikTok to a US-based company or face a nationwide ban. Here's what makes this moment so tense. President Trump has already delayed enforcement 3 separate times, signaling how politically sensitive this issue really is. Millions of Americans use TikTok every day, not just for entertainment, but increasingly for news, shopping, and small business promotion. A ban would send shockwaves through social media culture and digital marketing. The negotiations in Madrid are closely tied to this deadline. Many observers believe progress, or lack of progress, in trade talks could directly affect whether TikTok survives in the US. To make sense of all this, trade experts are weighing in. One of the most prominent voices is Hui Tang, an economist at the Asia Global Institute in Hong Kong. According to Tang, both nations have significant bargaining power. For China, the advantage lies in manufacturing capacity. America's tech sector, healthcare industry, and renewable energy projects all depend heavily on Chinese supply chains. For the United States, the strength lies in market access. China cannot easily replace the American consumer base, especially when it comes to high-value goods and services. This creates a delicate balance where both nations need each other, even as they clash publicly. Currently, both sides are operating under what's known as a trade truce. The U.S. maintains 30% duties on Chinese goods. China, in turn, imposes a 10% tariff on American exports. It's a fragile arrangement that keeps trade flowing, but leaves both sides dissatisfied. For American farmers, China's tariffs have cut into agricultural exports. For Chinese manufacturers, America's duties have squeezed profit margins. The Madrid talks aim to see whether this fragile balance can be restructured into something more stable, or whether it acts about to collapse under political pressure. Behind the scenes, officials are hinting at something bigger, a potential Trump-Xi summit. If progress is made in Madrid, the stage could be set for the two leaders to meet face-to-face at October's APEC gathering in South Korea. Such a summit would be historic, not just for the leaders themselves, but for the global economic order. A handshake between Trump and Xi could either signal a new era of cooperation or mask deeper tensions waiting to explode later. Either way, the world will be watching closely. So why does all of this matter to ordinary people? Because trade isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It affects jobs, prices, and daily life. If tariffs rise, the cost of everyday goods, from smartphones to sneakers, could climb. If TikTok is banned, millions of content creators, small businesses, and influencers could lose their livelihoods overnight. And if relations between the U.S. and China worsen, it could disrupt global supply chains, affecting industries from healthcare to renewable energy. In short, these negotiations may feel distant, but their impact could land right in your living room. Some analysts warn that what we're witnessing is more than just trade disputes. They see the early stages of a new Cold War, not based on nuclear weapons, but on technology, data, and economic power. The United States wants to maintain its position as the world's leading economy. China, meanwhile, is rising fast, seeking to reshape global rules in its favor. TikTok, tariffs, and Russian oil are just battlefields in this larger contest. The big question: can cooperation outweigh rivalry, or are we heading toward a more divided world? As the Madrid talks continue into the week, all eyes remain on two key deadlines. Wednesday's TikTok decision: will ByteDance strike a deal, or will America move forward with a ban? October, as potential Trump-Xi summit: will the world's two most powerful leaders meet in South Korea? And if so, what message will they send? For now, uncertainty reigns. Markets are jittery, businesses are holding their breath, and ordinary people are waiting to see how this global drama plays out. That's tonight's America headlines. The negotiations in Madrid may feel like distant diplomacy, but their outcomes could touch every aspect of our lives, from the apps on our phones to the prices at our local stores. We'll continue to follow these developments closely and bring you the latest updates as they unfold. I'm Alex, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more coverage on the stories that shape our world.